There are some performers who become famous because they chase the spotlight. And then there are those rare few who seem almost frightened by it. When Alice Fredenham stepped onto the stage of Britain's Got Talent, she didn't look like someone ready to become a star. Her voice shook. Her hands trembled. She seemed ready to walk away at any moment. But then she sang. In just a few minutes, millions of viewers were captivated by a woman whose vulnerability felt as powerful as her talent. Many believed they were witnessing the beginning of an extraordinary journey. Yet years later, a different question began to emerge. What happened to Alice Fredenham? Why did one of the most memorable voices from Britain's Got Talent seem to disappear from the spotlight she had worked so hard to reach? Was her absence a personal choice, an industry struggle, or something much deeper? Behind the applause, the television appearances, and the viral performances lies a story about pressure, expectations, self-doubt, and the complicated reality of sudden fame. Long before television audiences learned her name, Alice Fredenham lived a life that felt far removed from celebrity culture. She was not known for seeking attention or putting herself at the center of every room. In many ways, she appeared to be the opposite of what people expected from someone chasing a music career. Friends and family knew she possessed a beautiful voice. Music had always been a meaningful part of her life. Yet talent and confidence do not always arrive together. While Alice could sing, she often struggled with the fear that many performers know all too well, the fear of being judged. For years, that fear seemed stronger than her ambition. Psychologists often describe confidence as something that grows through repeated experiences. But when anxiety becomes powerful enough, even obvious talent can remain hidden. Many gifted people spend years doubting abilities that others can see clearly. Alice appeared to be living inside that struggle. When she finally decided to audition for Britain's Got Talent in 2013, she was stepping far outside her comfort zone. The stage represented much more than an opportunity. It represented a confrontation with her deepest insecurities. As she walked in front of the judges, viewers immediately noticed her nervousness. She spoke softly. She appeared uncomfortable. There was nothing flashy or dramatic about her entrance. Yet that vulnerability created an immediate connection. People saw someone who felt real. Then everything changed. The moment Alice began singing, the uncertainty that had filled the room seemed to disappear. Her voice carried a depth and emotion that nobody expected from the shy woman standing before them. Suddenly, a new possibility emerged. Perhaps this nervous contestant was hiding something extraordinary. But if one performance could change her life, what would happen when the entire world started paying attention? Alice's audition quickly became one of the standout moments of the season. Within days, clips of her performance spread across social media and video-sharing platforms. People who had never watched Britain's Got Talent suddenly found themselves discussing the quiet woman with the unforgettable voice. What made the performance special was not simply technical skill. Many singers possess strong voices. What audiences connected with was something more personal. Alice's performance felt genuine. Every note carried emotion. Every moment seemed honest. Viewers sensed that they were watching someone overcome fear in real time. That emotional authenticity created a powerful reaction. Instead of appearing polished or perfectly rehearsed, Alice appeared human. Her nervousness did not weaken the performance. In many ways, it strengthened it. People rooted for her because they recognized pieces of themselves in her story. Many individuals know what it feels like to doubt themselves. Many understand the experience of wanting something deeply while simultaneously fearing failure. Alice seemed to represent that universal struggle. The judges recognized it as well. Their praise focused not only on her singing, but on the emotional connection she created. They saw a contestant who could make people feel something, and that ability is often more memorable than technical perfection. As her popularity increased, so did expectations. Fans began imagining future albums, concert tours, and a long career in music. Industry observers wondered whether they had discovered a major new talent. Yet success creates its own challenges. Every positive headline raised expectations higher. Every compliment increased pressure. Suddenly, Alice was no longer simply trying to sing well. She was trying to live up to a growing image that millions of people had created for her. And for someone already struggling with confidence, that burden would become increasingly difficult to carry. The world was beginning to believe in Alice. The question was whether Alice believed in herself. From the outside, television success often appears glamorous. Viewers see applause, attention, and opportunity. What they rarely see is the emotional weight that arrives alongside those rewards. For Alice, life changed rapidly after her breakthrough audition. One day, she was a relatively private individual. The next, she was being discussed by strangers around the world. Her performances were analyzed online. Her appearance was commented on. Her future became a topic of public conversation. For many people, that level of visibility would feel overwhelming. Psychologists have long observed that sudden fame can create unique pressures. Human beings naturally care about how others perceive them. When millions of people are watching, that concern can become magnified. Every success feels larger. Every mistake feels more painful. For someone already dealing with self-doubt, public scrutiny can intensify existing fears. Alice's journey seemed to reflect that reality. While audiences celebrated her talent, she still had to navigate her own internal challenges. Public praise does not automatically erase private insecurity. Sometimes the two exist side by side. The audience saw a gifted singer with enormous potential. Alice may have continued seeing someone who worried about not being good enough. That conflict created a difficult emotional balancing act. Each new performance offered another chance to shine, but it also carried the risk of disappointment. The pressure to repeat success can sometimes feel greater than the challenge of achieving it in the first place. As the competition moved forward, Alice faced a reality that many contestants never fully anticipate. Winning over an audience is one challenge. Learning how to live with the expectations that follow is another entirely. And after the cameras stopped rolling, that challenge would become even more complicated than anyone expected. When Britain's Got Talent ended, many viewers assumed Alice Fredenham's future had already been written. Television audiences often expect a simple story. A talented contestant appears, captures hearts, and then moves directly into fame and success. Reality, however, is rarely that straightforward. For Alice, life after the show brought both opportunities and difficult decisions. The exposure from Britain's Got Talent opened doors. More people knew her name than ever before. Industry professionals became aware of her talent. Fans continued following her journey and hoping to see her achieve the success they believed she deserved. But turning television attention into a lasting career requires much more than talent alone. The music industry can be unpredictable. Trends change quickly. Public attention moves from one rising star to the next. Many performers discover that the hardest part is not getting noticed. It is staying visible. Alice continued pursuing music and exploring opportunities. Yet her path looked different from what many fans had imagined. Rather than becoming a constant presence in newspapers, television programs, or celebrity headlines, she appeared to move at her own pace. That choice may have reflected something important about her personality. From the very beginning, Alice never seemed motivated by fame itself. What attracted people to her was not ambition or self-promotion. It was authenticity. The spotlight can be exciting, but it can also be exhausting. Every appearance invites judgment. Every public moment becomes something others can analyze and criticize. For some people, those costs are worth paying. For others, protecting personal peace becomes more important. As time passed, many fans began asking the same question. Why wasn't Alice everywhere? Why wasn't one of the show's most memorable voices dominating the music world? The answer may have had less to do with talent and more to do with something much deeper. Perhaps Alice was beginning to define success on her own terms, and that definition looked very different from what the public expected. As the years passed, curiosity about Alice only grew stronger. The internet has a tendency to turn absence into mystery. When someone once visible becomes less visible, people naturally begin searching for explanations. Rumors emerge, theories spread, questions multiply, yet the truth is often much simpler. For Alice, periods of reduced public exposure did not necessarily mean failure or disappointment. Instead, they may have reflected a conscious decision to maintain balance in a world that constantly demands attention. Unlike many public figures, Alice never appeared interested in sharing every detail of her life. She maintained a level of privacy that has become increasingly rare in modern entertainment. That privacy left space for speculation, but it also revealed something about her character. From the moment audiences first met her, Alice seemed most comfortable when communicating through music rather than through celebrity culture. She connected with people through emotion, not publicity. Many performers discover that fame and artistic fulfillment are not always the same thing. A person can become famous without feeling fulfilled. Likewise, someone can continue creating meaningful work without constantly appearing in headlines. This idea challenges the way society often measures success. People tend to view visibility as proof of achievement. The more someone is seen, the more successful they appear. But real fulfillment is often far more personal than public. Alice's journey began to look less like a story about celebrity and more like a story about identity. What happens when a person receives everything they thought they wanted, only to discover that happiness depends on something else? What happens when public expectations collide with private needs? Those questions are deeply human, and they help explain why Alice's story continues to resonate with so many people years later. Because beneath the talent show narrative lies something universal: the struggle to remain true to oneself while the world demands something different. More than a decade has passed since Alice first stood on that famous stage, yet people continue searching for updates about her life. That enduring interest says something remarkable. Many contestants appear on television, enjoy brief attention, and then fade from public memory. Alice's story followed a different path. Even after years of relative privacy, viewers still remember her. The reason goes beyond singing. Her story speaks to something deeply human. When audiences watched Alice perform, they were not simply witnessing talent. They were witnessing courage. Not the loud, dramatic kind often celebrated in movies, but a quieter form of courage that many people understand. The courage to move forward despite fear. The courage to take a chance despite uncertainty. The courage to be vulnerable in front of strangers. Those qualities created a connection that lasted far beyond the competition itself. In modern culture, confidence is often presented as the key to success. Social media rewards certainty. Public figures are expected to appear strong and self-assured. Alice offered a different perspective. She showed that vulnerability can be powerful too. Her nervousness never made audiences respect her less. In fact, it often made them admire her more. They saw someone confronting fear rather than pretending it did not exist. That lesson remains relevant today. Many viewers continue returning to her audition because it reminds them of their own struggles. It reminds them that insecurity does not erase talent. Fear does not eliminate potential. Perhaps that is why people still wonder where Alice is now. They are not only looking for information, they are looking for reassurance. They want to know whether someone who represented hope, vulnerability, and resilience ultimately found happiness. And that brings the story to its most important question. What became of Alice after the spotlight faded? The answer reveals a different kind of success than many expected. Today, Alice Fredenham remains one of Britain's Got Talent's most memorable contestants. Although she has maintained a much lower public profile than many fans predicted, her story did not end when television cameras stopped following her. Instead, it continued in a quieter and more personal direction. Over the years, Alice has remained connected to music while living a life largely outside the constant attention of mainstream celebrity culture. For some observers, that may seem surprising. After all, many expected her to become one of the biggest breakout stars from the competition. But success does not always follow the path that audiences imagine. Sometimes the greatest achievement is not becoming more visible. Sometimes it is protecting one's well-being while continuing to pursue personal passions. Looking back, Alice's journey appears less like a story of disappearance and more like a story of choice. She entered public life as someone who struggled with confidence. She faced enormous pressure. She experienced the highs and lows that come with sudden recognition. And through it all, she remained remarkably consistent. The same authenticity that captured audiences during her audition appears to have guided her decisions afterward. Rather than allowing fame to define her identity, she seems to have chosen a path that reflects who she truly is. That may not be the ending many people expected, yet it may be the ending that best fits her story.